Welcome back to another episode of 10 Minutes of Astrology. My name is Shay. If you're interested to learn more about me or what we're doing here, please check the housekeeping in the comments. Today we're going to be talking about Mars in Aquarius in 2035. If you could do me a favor and press all the buttons if you like stuff like this, we're going to get started. So Mars enters into Aquarius approximately April 13th, 2035. Mars, for those of you who don't know, is action, war, confrontation, and Aquarius is the wild card of the zodiac. They are random. They are the water bearer, which is an air sign. I know Aquarius, you would think would be a water sign. But what it actually means is they are the bearer of the emotions, because water in most things like tarot, etc., water represents emotions. Now, we see that Mars here is at 0 degrees. Now I'm doing this differently than how I have been doing these things, just in hopes that you'll follow along a little bit better. When I do these videos, you'll see that I don't talk about the sun, moon, Mercury, or even Venus, because I only try to discuss planets that I have already made videos on for the time period. So that's why I do what I do. We have here at 3 degrees, approximately April 17th, 2035, we have what looks to be a trine to Chiron in Gemini. Also, another quick note, I try to keep things as very simple and basic, the terminology as straightforward as possible, so it is easier to follow along. Now, a trine in astrology is a positive thing. Think the Holy Trinity. Now, Chiron is the wounded healer of the zodiac. It tries to help heal in others that which you struggle to heal within yourself. In Gemini, it is going to be duality. So saying one thing and doing another, doing one thing and doing another, multitasking poorly. And Chiron is trying to help heal in others and keep others mentally on track, because both of these are air signs. Air in tarot and other things, etc., represents your mentality and how you think about things. So this trine is now Mars is acting in a weird way, and Chiron is trying to heal the kind of multiplicity of everything. And with this is trying to get into alignment with your actions, maybe doing things differently with how you attempt to help others heal and how you help heal yourself with this duality. This is a very positive thing. I do really like that. We're going to, and this looks like it spills over into the 18th. So now we are going to move on to see what the next alignment is. And really the 19th and 20th is also where we're going to see this action with trying to help heal those dual things in others and in ourselves. And you're getting kind of a real time how I go about doing this. So just give me a moment while we see what the next alignment coming up is going to be. It looks like an inconjunct to Uranus in Cancer. Now, whenever you have something or something else comes up in Sagittarius at this 7 degrees at this time, so for example, if or when the moon gets to that 7 degrees, or if you have a moon at 7 degrees in Sagittarius or another planet, this would create a yod pointing towards Uranus. I'm not going to get too into detail about that because here I just want to talk about the inconjunct in general. But just know if you do have something at 7 degrees in Sagittarius, this is going to create a yod for you, which is God's finger. That's basically either blessing you with something, but more often than not, it is a lesson, a godly, very spiritual, heavy lesson that would need to be learned. Now, inconjuncts are difficult alignments, but they aren't as brutal as like a square, for example, it's usually a short-lived irritant. So with Uranus and Cancer here, this Uranus is ruled by Aquarius. However, Mars does not like Cancer, so that is not considered a mutual reception by any means. But Uranus is the planet of creativity, spontaneity. It's the planet that like represents lightning and large scale technological things. Now, Uranus and Cancer, Cancer represents the mother, nurturing, being family oriented. So to me, this is something weird, strange, random going on with your family that is unexpected, out of the blue, creates an irritant, creates like another argument, misinterpretation, and it just, now it doesn't get out of hand like a Jupiter would be in this situation. What happens is it's so random, it's so sporadic, it's within the family, especially mother and mother figure types like your grandmother. And then Aquarius here is more representative of your friends and your friend groups. So this could be friends versus family territories, even potentially a sibling rivalry. I really consider more Gemini to be sibling stuff. But this is something random happening with your mom or happening with your mother figure that is you have to act on in a different way. And this different way may not be seen as something that good, because Cancer can be very emotional. And Aquarius is holding on to all of those emotions and becoming indifferent about it, because remember, Aquarius, that time period is January, February, so it's very cold, it's very distant, this is not enjoyable, and so this is excusing yourself in a different way in this situation to be able to regroup and potentially come back to it later, or to just say, no, I'm not dealing with this entirely. But this is a very erratic, spontaneous thing with your family, your mom, that you are going to have to act on, preferably with some indifference, because if you get wrapped up in the emotional stuff, then it can become way too chaotic. But I'm going to lean more towards Aquarius here because it is Uranus. Uranus doesn't like being in Cancer, and Mars doesn't like Cancer. So this emotional upheaval is not in tune with the logical mind. And I say logical mind of an Aquarius very loosely, because their logic is very different from everybody else's logic. So take that for what you will. Hopefully that stint in time, this information will be helpful. And we're going to move on to see what the next alignment is going to be. So hold on for me for just a minute while I figure out what that is. And we're going to have a square to the sun, it looks like, so that's not fun. Mercury going into Gemini, and then shortly after, Saturn should be going into Leo. Jupiter then goes into Taurus, so another kind of major shift. And where are we? Give me just a minute. Yeah, we're still squaring the sun here, so that's like a daily thing that we're going to have to be doing with our actions that aren't in alignment, that's very conflict-oriented, especially with Mars being about conflict. So this is random conflict, and somebody else every day is like stuck in it. Which then we're going to have a new moon following right behind it. So this is going to be, you know what, we're going to do things differently. I'm not going to tolerate this. And being more, doing for yourself in that moment, and not necessarily doing for yourself, but doing for your home, and being stuck in, this is what I'm going to be doing now. And you're either with me or against me, but I'm going to be comfortable, is what that new moon tells me. I don't typically talk about the sun or the moon, but I figured while we wait for me to find this next alignment, which is in a conjunction to Pluto in Aquarius. So I really like this new transformation, especially with your friend groups, with your society, these things that you're acting towards that's transforming you in a deep way, but also kind of across the board. I like this alignment. Conjunctions are like you're on the same page with things. We have Venus going into Taurus then. Saturn is now in Leo. So a lot of changes. This is a lot of changes that are happening kind of all at the same time, like fresh new vibes. And I don't typically like things when they first go in because it's a whole new thing. And when you do whole new things differently, it's difficult to, you're usually not good at things the first time. So I don't typically like when things first enter, especially at that 0 degrees, because that can make things a lot more of a headache. But then we have a sextile to Neptune in Aries at 23 degrees. This is approximately May 19th, 2035. And at the same time, we're going to have a conjunction to Chiron and Mercury. Now, Neptune is the spirit, essentially. This is the higher power. I tell people when you think of Neptune, imagine yourself in the presence of God. That's very heavy. And this sextile is a good thing because your weird random actions work. Sextile basically thinks sex. It's enjoyable. It's nice. It's beneficial. It feels good. And when we have this sextile coming up, which it also looks like is doing another alignment with Lilith over here in Sagittarius. I'm not going to get into that at all. But Mars sextile Neptune, this is good for your spirit. This feels like the path even though it feels like a weird, different path that you are not used to, and it's may seem completely different from the rest of society because again, Aquarius is about larger scale society. It may seem like what you're doing doesn't make sense to anybody else, but between you and your higher power and your God, this is in alignment. This is what you was always supposed to be doing. Aries is about the self. It's ruled by Mars here. So this is just another like checkbox that says, yes, this is the path. This was the right decision because Mars is decisive and Aries, and Mars, both quick thinking decisions. So this quick thinking decision that is, spiritually meant for you, this path is what you're supposed to be doing. So I do like that. That's a great alignment to see, especially after all of the family drama that comes up. Y'all got to protect your peace. And I don't think that we're going to see any other alignments that aren't like very specific terminology, like a semi-square. That's also, I want to say that's called a quincunx or, a quincunx is anyway. I'm sure that there are other alignments that have like very specific terminology, but I'm not doing math in my head right now as I do this because you're seeing how I do this in real time. So we are probably just going to talk about when Mars leaves, which looks like it's going to be coming up because if you wanted to talk about the moon conjunct Mars at this 29 degree mark, which is very pivotal. So the moon represents how you feel about yourself and your internal emotions. And this in Aquarius at 29 degrees, right as we're transitioning into Pisces, it's weird. And I know that I'm weird and I know I'm doing this weird. Do is the Mars term and weird is the Aquarius term. I know I'm doing this strange and I know how it looks, but it's so right. This 29 degrees is like the pinnacle of where you want to be in the zodiac. That is like the ultimate, I've learned the lessons of this thing. So I really like ending on that note. And then approximately May 31st, 2035 is when we see Mars enter Pisces. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, fam. Much love.